Okay, so ready to keep making your dream landscape. When you are building a picture like I build pictures, you need to have a look at the layers in the picture. So what we're going to do next is paint some of the big shapes. So you might have a green hill that you need to paint. Eventually we will cut that out of the paper. So on our next sheet of paper, what we're going to do is paint some big shapes. So you might have a green hill, you might have a trunk of a tree, you might even have something completely different. So think about what is the foreground and what are some of the blobbier shapes. You might have a house, you might have a mountain, you may even have like a giant toadstool. Anyway, take a piece of paper and now we're going to paint it full of bigger shapes. One of the important things to keep in mind when you're painting your bigger shapes is that you might not know what all of them are going to be. So it might end up that you make some weird shapes on the page, and then when you get to actually making your landscape and cutting them out, you think, oh, this looks like an umbrella, or oh, this looks like a big nose that someone could live in. Sometimes it's good to just paint some shapes that feel good, and then later on they might turn into something else. Now we're going to take a third piece of paper, a whole piece of paper, and what I want you to do is just paint textures and patterns from your dreamscape. So here's a good example here of how I painted some texture for the tree. I painted this little texture, I painted these kind of whirly textures for the trees. Your patterns might be things like arrows, or they might be things like feathers, or there might be polka dots. So your pattern sheet needs to be the textures of the things in your landscape. So if you're using toadstools, you might think about what is the colour of the tops of the toadstools. If you have really beautiful, big, crazy flowers, what colour are the flowers? Are they purple? Are they stripy? Are they spotty? So this is like a sheet of patterns that then in the next stage, we will cut them up. Spend a bit of time and paint some really, really interesting dreamy patterns. Okay, so now what you should have is 3 pages of painted things. So you have your background sheet, which is nice filled in full page of colour. Then you should have your blobby sheet of shapes, whatever they are. Then you should have your page of patterns and textures and details. You should make sure that it is completely dry, so I'm going to make sure I get the hairdryer out and completely dry this before our next stage.